So we'll be going over IRS Form 4506-T, Request for Transcript of Tax Return. So this is one of several ways to request certain tax information from the Internal Revenue Service. So you can file this among other forms. There are a couple of forms that you may use to file a request for transcript or for tax return information. You may file IRS Form 4506-T-EZ, which is a short version of this form, or you can file IRS Form 4506, which is a request for the tax return itself, or for a copy of the tax return. You can also request certain tax return transcript information online by going through the IRS website. And finally, you can call an automated number, 800-908-9946. This is the IRS specific toll-free number for requesting tax record information. So we'll go through this one-page tax form. You can see that the top of this is taxpayer information. The middle section has a little bit more detail on the type of tax information you are requesting. And then finally at the bottom is the taxpayer signature field. So let's go through the top. In line 1A, you'll enter the name of the taxpayer as shown on the tax return. So if this is a joint tax return, this would be the name of the primary taxpayer or the person whose name appears first. In 1B, you'll enter the tax ID number. So this could be a social security number, this could be an individual taxpayer identification number or ITIN, or if you're filing this request on behalf of a business, it would business, trust, estate, or other entity that does not have an individual tax ID number, then it would be an employer identification number or EIN. Line 2, if applicable, you would enter a spouse's name and then a social security number or ITIN if you're requesting information for a joint tax return. Otherwise, you can leave line 2 blank. In line 3, you'll enter the address, your current address. So this would be hopefully the same address, street, city, state, and zip code as in your last tax return. However, if you have moved since you last filed your tax return, then you will need to do a couple of things. One, you'll need to enter your previous address on line 4, and 2, you'll most likely need to file an update with the IRS to reflect your change in address. To do this as an individual, you would file IRS Form 8822, which is a change in address form with the IRS. For a business, this would be IRS Form 8822-B, which is a change of address or responsible party form. And the reason why you'll want to make sure that your current address is on file with the Internal Revenue Service is because of this note right here. As of July 2019, the IRS will only mail tax transcripts to your address of record. So this is important to make sure that your address of record is correct. Finally, in line 5, you'll enter a customer file number if required. The IRS does not require this. However, if you're working with, for example, a mortgage lender, if you're applying for federal aid as a college student, you may be asked to enter a customer file number of some sort. And the IRS will accept a customer file number of up to 10 digits as long as it does not contain either your social security number, your last name, or any combination of personal information. If your customer file number is deemed to contain that sensitive information, then the IRS transcript will simply state a series of 9s, as the IRS will not put your Social Security number on a tax return transcript. Otherwise, this customer file number will appear as stated in line 5 on your tax transcript. So in line 6, you're going to enter at the top right here the tax form number. So for most individuals, this would be a Form 1040 or in the 1040 series for different individual income tax returns. For corporate tax returns, this might be a Form 1120. For partnerships, it would be a Form 1065, so on and so forth. You can only enter one tax form number per request. So if you need to request, for example, a business tax return and an individual tax return, then you would need to complete a unique Form 4506-T for each type of form you're requesting. Once you've annotated the type of tax form information you're requesting, then you have a choice of several different options. So under line 6, you'll see return transcript, account transcript, and record of account. A tax return transcript is a transcript that contains most of the line items of a tax return as you originally filed it with the IRS. However, it does not reflect any change in the tax information on that account after the IRS processed your return. So for example, if you filed an amended return, it would not reflect on a return transcript. You can request a tax transcript only for certain forms. The Form 1040 series, 1065, Form 1120, 1120A, which is actually no longer used, Form 1120H, which applies to homeowner associations, Form 1120L, which applies to life insurance companies, and then Form 1120S, which is for S corporations. Most individual taxpayers would be filing either a request for 1040, 1065 if they're in a partnership, or 1120S. Under account transcript, this contains information on the financial status of your individual tax account. So this might include information such as tax payments that you made to the account, any penalty assessments, any adjustments that either you or the IRS made to the record after that tax return was filed. So this tax return information is limited to items such as your tax bill, estimated tax payments. You can request an account transcript for most tax returns. And finally, the record of account provides the most information because it's a combination of the first two, the return transcript and the account transcript. So you can request a record of account for the current tax year and then the prior 3 tax years. Similar to the return transcript, which you can request for the current year and then 3 processing years prior. Most of these requests are processed by the IRS within 10 business days. So make sure that you plan for that if you are using this form to request a tax transcript. We'll get to other ways that you may be able to request a tax transcript if you do not have the ability to wait 10 business days. So depending on which one you're requesting, you'll check the appropriate block. You can also request a couple of other things. So one would be a verification of non-filing. This is proof from the IRS that you did not file a tax return for the given tax year. So a couple of things. One, this appears to be something that's most commonly filed when applying for federal student aid. So you'll see instructions from financial institutions on how to walk through this form. However, you need to be aware of a couple of things. First, your current year request, you can only obtain that after June 15th. So, for example, at the time of this recording, we're in May of 2023. If I was requesting a verification of non-filing for the tax year of 2022, I would need to wait until after June 15th in order to file this form to receive a verification of non-filing for that tax year. You can apply for, any prior year requests through verification of non-filing. But if you want the most recent tax year, you need to wait until after June 15th. And one last thing, this is not verification that you weren't required to file a tax return. You may have been required to file a tax return and you simply did not. This is just a proof or verification from the Internal Revenue Service that they do not have an income tax return on file for you. And finally, in number 8, you can request different information. So Form W-2, Form 1099 series, which is how different entities report income that was paid to you other than as an employee. So 1099 usually comes from a financial institution, or if you're paid as a 1099 contractor, that means that you received some sort of income as a non-employee from a company that you worked for. There's a variety of other types of 1099s out there. So you can request 1099 information through this form. You can also request 1098 series, which could be mortgage interest payments. It could be student loan payments. So this would be a variety of different things that you might be able to deduct from taxable income on your tax return. And then finally, Form 5498. This is an informational tax form that reports out on transactions with regards to an IRA account. So the IRS can provide a transcript that includes data from those information returns with some exceptions. The IRS can go back to 10 years. Information for the current year is usually not available until after it's filed with the IRS. The year after it's filed with the IRS. And the example in this form is if you were requesting W-2 information for 2016, if it was filed in 2017, you would not be able to get it from the IRS until 2018. So for people who need W-2 information for retirement purposes, you can contact the Social Security Administration at their toll-free number as listed on the form. So if you need a copy of the actual form itself, you should reach out to the payer, whether it's an employer, whether it's a financial institution. Most financial institutions keep past copies of Form 1099 directly in their account. So you should be able to get that a little bit more expeditiously than trying to get the tax transcript from the IRS. So in line 9, you'll enter the year or period that you requested this information, and you should do this in month, date, year format. So 2 digits for the month, 2 digits for the date, and then 4 digits for the entire calendar year. This can be a calendar year, can be a fiscal year, can be a quarter. So for quarterly returns, you'll need to enter each quarter that you've requested the information for. And you have up to 4 fields that you can enter dates here for. So the last day of, say, your Form 1099 would be 12/31, whatever the date is. So finally, we're at the signature field where you'll you'll check the box that attests that you've read the attestation clause and that you are a person with authority to sign the form. So either you are the taxpayer or the taxpayer spouse, or you happen to be an authorized representative as delegated on IRS Form 2848. So line 5 of IRS Form 2848 specifically allows you to request information on a tax transcript or a previous tax return. So if that's the case, if you're signing as an authorized representative, you'll need to enclose a copy of the Form 2848 with this form. So you'll enter the phone number of the taxpayer on either line 1A or 2A. You'll sign. You do not need to have your spouse sign. Only one spouse of a married couple filing a joint return needs to sign this form. If you're signing on behalf of a corporation, partnership, estate, or trust, then you'll need to enter your title as well. So that's all for this form. There are a couple of other ways that you can obtain your tax information, as I mentioned, without having to file this form. And if you need to obtain similar tax transcript information more quickly, you may find that it's easier to go onto the IRS homepage and then walk through the prompts on the homepage to get your tax transcript. So if you have not set up your IRS account, the IRS will kind of force you to verify your identity using id.me. So once you've verified your identity online through that, then you should be able to log into the IRS website with your credentials, and you can instantly have access to all of the information we just discussed here. So depending on who needs this information and the type of format that you need it in will help direct you in how to request your tax transcript information. On the back of this form are instructions. Specifically, I'll highlight the instructions for where to file this form if you're filing it. You can't file it online. You have to either mail it or fax it to the specific office, the IRS Service Center that is for your location. And this is the location as it was during the tax year that you're requesting. So first of all, you need to decide which type of transcript you're requesting. If you're requesting a 1040, Form W-2, or a Form 1099, then you'll use this table up here. So locate the state or overseas location, and then you can either mail or fax your request to that specific IRS office. And then for all other transcripts, you can mail or fax your request to the IRS Service Center within that chart. So make sure that you use the correct chart to file your request. That's all we have for this video. If you'd like to go through this form a little bit more in depth, we've written a full-length article which you can read on our website. Simply go to teachmepersonalfinance.com, type in IRS Form 4506-T in the search bar, and this article should appear. Don't confuse this form with 4506-T-EZ. That is the short version request of this tax transcript. But if you use 4506-T, you'll see this specific article. If you like our articles, please subscribe to our newsletter. If you like our YouTube videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, as always, please leave a note or a question in the comments section, or you can send me an email. Thank you very much and have a great day.